Independent labs burned the cigars Americans buy most, and one sweet drugstore cigarillo threw off several times more cancer-linked free radicals per stick than a regular cigarette. That cherry Swisher Sweet from the gas station, the one your kid can grab off the same shelf for $1, isn't whole tobacco. It's reconstituted scrap, soaked and sweetened with the same lab flavorings that make a candle smell like dessert. You're inhaling the candle, and it doesn't stay in your lungs. That sweet cloud is the same smoke your kid breathes in the back seat. You chose it. They didn't. The fake Cohiba from a cooler in Kangsing came back dirty enough to be turned away at the border. And the Black and Mild you've smoked for years drives particles fine enough to cross from your lungs into your blood. That isn't flavor. That's chemistry. It adds up, and it stays. Over the next 15 minutes, I'm exposing 7 cigars built on filler, flavor oil, and fraud, poisoning the people next to you as much as you. Cheap doesn't mean clean. Boutique doesn't mean safe. Stay to the end, because 3 are still made the old way, whole leaf, nothing sprayed on, and you'll learn to spot them. Number 7. Swisher Sweets. One of the most common cigars in America. 2 for under $1 at every counter in the country. The cigar a whole generation started on. The one you tried first because it was sweet and it was there. Pick one up right now. Bend it. Feel how it gives. Soft, papery, nothing like a leaf rolled tight. Hold it to your nose before you ever light it. That's not tobacco you're smelling. That's candy. That's the problem. What you're holding isn't whole tobacco. It's reconstituted sheet, floor scrap pulped and pressed into something leaf-shaped, soaked in propylene glycol so it won't crack, then painted with cherry from a bottle. The same aromatics a factory sprays into gum. And when a peer-reviewed lab actually burned cigarillos like this and measured the smoke, they ranked near the top for the free radicals tied to cancer, and for the burnt chemical irritants from the same family as formaldehyde. Here's the part they don't print on the wrapper. The more flavoring they pump in, the higher that count climbs. So the candle from the hook wasn't a figure of speech. The sweetness isn't a flavor sitting on top of the tobacco. The sweetness is the warning label. You're not tasting a better cigar, you're tasting the additives that put it on this list. Number 6. Backwoods. You know the picture. The campfire, the flannel, the pack that looks like it was tied together by hand on somebody's porch. The tip's left rough and unfinished so it reads handmade. The leaf on the outside is dark and veined like a tobacco plant pulled straight from a field. And right there on the front, the word that does all the work, natural. Grown in the woods. That's the whole pitch, and for a lot of guys it's the one they reach for, because it feels like the honest one. Less processed, closer to the plant, the smoke your grandfather might have rolled. Pull one out and run it under your nose. It smells sweetened, a little syrupy, vanilla and something darker underneath the tobacco. That's your first tell. A plant pulled from a field does not come pre-sweetened. Here's what natural actually means on this pack. Nothing. Researchers who studied how backwoods is sold call that all natural. Natural leaf image exactly what it is. A costume. What you're holding is machine-made. The wrapper and the guts are reconstituted tobacco sheet, scraps and dust and stems ground into slurry, pressed flat into a sheet, then cut to look like a leaf that grew that way. Humectants, propylene glycol, glycerin, keep it from drying out. The sweetness you smelled was added flavoring, dosed in at a factory, not grown in the woods. Glued in a factory. That's the gap. The pose says field, the contents say factory. And once you see it on this pack, you can't unsee it on any of them. Natural on a tobacco label is a costume, not an ingredient list. Now give Backwoods its due. It's cheap, it's a gas station smoke, and it never once pretended to be a hand-rolled puro. Its only real sin is that one word. That's why it's all the way down here at number 6 and nothing worse. Because at least Backwoods is honest about being a drugstore smoke. The next one charges you craft boutique money and pulls the exact same trick. Number 5. Java by Drew Estate. You already love this one. That's the problem. Drew Estate is a name cigar people say with respect, a real boutique house. The craft darling the maker collectors defend in comment sections. And Java is its sweetheart, the coffee and cocoa stick people gift. The one you reach for thinking, this isn't a gas station cigarillo. This is the artisan one. This is the good stuff. Here's the snap. That infusion you love, the coffee, the cocoa, that is the exact thing that disqualifies it. The prestige word is the trap. Boutique built this, Boutique can't save it. Let me be fair, because the craft is real. Drew Estate knows how to roll. The tobacco underneath is genuinely well made, the construction is honest, the burn behaves. Nobody's calling these people frauds. But skill at rolling leaf is not the same as a clean stick, craft is not the same as clean. The moment you soak the leaf in a flavor that didn't grow there, you've added something. That's the whole definition of an additive product. A Puro tastes of tobacco because there's only tobacco in it. Java tastes of coffee because somebody put coffee in it. One of those is pure. The other one is flavored, no matter how lovingly it was made. And that flavor isn't just a label problem, it changes what you breathe. Light one, the coffee hits first, sweet and rich, exactly what you paid for. But that sweetness is fuel. When labs burn flavored sticks, the added flavor compounds give the fire more to work with, more free radicals, the reactive stuff that scorches lung tissue. More flavoring in, more damage out. The coffee note you're savoring is, at the ember, extra ammunition. Craft doesn't neutralize that. A skilled hand wrapping an additive is still wrapping an additive. So strip the romance off the band. A respected name and a flavor you love are not a purity certificate, they're marketing standing where the tobacco should be. And if a celebrated boutique house will infuse its leaf, then boutique proves nothing about what's inside. Java isn't even the only respected name doing it. Number 4. CAO flavors. Pick one up and hold it to your nose. Under the wrapper, there's a sweet, oily perfume that never came off a tobacco plant. Somebody added that. And that's the trap, because CAO has a real name. This is a genuine house with a real reputation. Hands that know what a serious long filler is supposed to taste like. You'd assume, reasonably, that you finally found the honest one. A capable maker, decent tobacco, none of the back alley nonsense from the cheap end of the shelf. And here's the part I won't take from them. CAO never lies about it. It says flavors right on the front. The leaf inside may well be good tobacco. They're proud of it. That's exactly what makes this worse than the gas station junk. Because the line for a clean premium cigar isn't a secret, and it isn't hard to find. The law spelled it out in black and white, whole leaf, only tobacco, nothing added, no flavor poured on. That standard was sitting right there, written down, available to every maker in the country. CAO had the skill to hit it. They could have aged the leaf and let the tobacco carry the cigar. They reached for the bottle instead. They soaked it in botanical and flavor oils, the exact thing that walks a stick straight out of the clean definition the law already drew. And notice who we're talking about. Last brand was Drew Estate. This one is CAO. Two separate houses, two separate skill sets, the same deliberate swap. That's not one company's bad call. That's the category telling on itself. So this isn't an accident. It's a choice, made by people who knew the clean way and picked the oils anyway. The knowing is the crime. And at least these boutique makers print the truth on the band. The next one is a flavored little cigar the FDAW had to physically order off the shelves. Number 3. Cheyenne, December 2016. A federal letter, signed and dated, lands on a tobacco company's desk. The verdict is already written. The product named in it is Cheyenne, flavored little cigars the FDAW ordered pulled, because the agency had looked at what they actually were and decided they were flavored cigarettes wearing a cigar's coat. That's where this one starts. Not with a pack, not with a brand story, with a document on the record. Pick one up and roll it between your fingers. Feel the filter on the end, the giveaway, the part no real cigar has. That's what you're holding. A filtered little cigar, machine-made, about the size and shape of a cigarette, with a sweet flavor laid on top. Sold cheap, sold legally, sold next to the register. And most people who buy it run the same math you might. It's on the shelf, it has a barcode, the law lets me buy it, so it's basically fine. That instinct is exactly what the letter takes apart, because the FDA didn't object to the taste, it objected to the costume. The agency's position was that these filtered flavored sticks were cigarettes by behavior and cigarettes by content, and calling them cigars was the lie, a relabel to dodge the rules that already banned flavored cigarettes. A regulator looked at the marketing and called it what it was, and the smoke backs the paper. In lab after lab, filtered cigars like this come out high on those same burnt chemical irritants, the formaldehyde family, and actually beat cigarettes on most of them, stick for stick. Cheyenne tests high on them specifically. So the thing dressed up as the milder, classier option is, by the chemistry, no kinder going down. Here's the line to keep. The regulator already wrote the verdict down in a dated letter about a filtered little cigar it called a cigarette in a costume. You don't have to take my word. You can take the government's. I'll grant Cheyenne this much. It's a cheap, ordinary budget stick, and it never pretended to be premium. That honesty is exactly why the federal action is the whole point. This is the one a regulator caught in writing. Cheyenne at least left a paper trail. The next cigar leaves nothing but what's rolled inside it, a fake nobody signs for, and what's in the filler will turn your stomach. Number 2. The Cohiba that came off no real estate. Here's the thing about a counterfeit Cohiba you cannot tell from the band. That gold and white label, the embossed head, the cellophane, the box code stamped on the bottom, every visible signal of the real thing can be cloned. And the clones are good. So good that the people buying them at a Cuban connection markdown, the bargain hunters chasing a too good to be true deal on a vacation beach or a backroom humidor, genuinely believe they scored the real Puro for half price. They never signed for a supply chain. Nobody did. That box came off no farm, no factory floor with a name on the door, no chain of custody you could trace if you tried. It's premium-shaped air with contraband inside, and the band is the only honest-looking part of it. So let's open one. Customs labs and seizure reports have been cutting these fakes apart for years, and what they keep finding inside is not tobacco. It's floor sweepings, the swept-up debris off a workroom floor. It's non-tobacco leaf, banana leaf among them, padding out the filler. It's mold, because nobody aged or stored these in conditions a real roller would tolerate. And this is the one that ends conversations. Investigators have pulled human hair out of the filler. That's your repeatable verdict, the one you'll never unknow. A fake Cohiba is sweepings, spores, and somebody's hair, sold to you as Cuba. The CDC has heavy metal data on counterfeit combustibles too. The kind of contamination you light and inhale without a clue. You wanted the deal. You bought the floor. And now the fairness beat, because it matters, the genuine Cuban Cohiba is a real puro. Clean leaf, real craft, not the villain in this story. The crime here belongs entirely to the counterfeit supply chain, the fake, not the name on the band. Here's the turn. That's the horror you'd refuse on sight if you could see it, the obvious one, the deal you'd back away from. But the next brand pulls something worse. It's not a fake you got tricked into. It's the legal stick you reach for on purpose, every day, at the gas station counter, and you'll have paid full price for it. Number 1. Black and mild. And here's the part you won't like. It's already in your hand. Not the priciest stick on the wall, not the rarest, the most ordinary. Black and mild is the gas station crown, the plastic tip you grab with your coffee, the one your uncle smokes, the one half the parking lot is smoking right now. It wins by being everywhere. And the word that put the crown on its head is sitting right there on the pack, mild. Mild sounds like a setting. Mild sounds like the dial turned down, the gentle one, the safe one. That's the whole disarming trick. They named the danger after the opposite of danger, and you nodded along. Let's be fair about why you love it, because the love is real. It's cheap. It's sold on every corner. It draws easy. It smells sweet. It goes with a porch and a long evening, and nobody ever told you to treat a 5-minute ritual like a hazard. Fine, granted, but understand what mild was. A flavor note and a marketing word. It was never a safety claim. Nobody at the factory ever measured your lungs and certified the dial down. Now the receipt. In Plo's 1's testing, Black and Mild didn't land mid-pack. It topped the ranking for the solid particles in the smoke. The microscopic specks that lodge deepest in your lungs and don't come back out. The smoke you wave off as nothing carries the heaviest particle load on the board. That's the crown, and it sits on the mild one. Underneath, not whole leaf. Reconstituted sheet, the pulped and pressed stuff, dosed with humectants and added flavoring. The engineered sweetness you taste is smooth. And here's the number I held back the whole countdown, because it belongs to the king. Penn State put it on the record in 2024. A flavored little cigar like this throws off roughly 7 times the free radicals, the reactive damage that tears at lung tissue, of a regular cigarette. 7 times. Not a little worse. Not about the same as a cigarette. 7 times. And you don't smoke it alone. This is the porch cigar, the car cigar, the one burning in the room while the family's home. That 7-time smoke doesn't care whose lungs it lands in, the kid in the back seat, the wife on the couch. They never bought a single one, and they're smoking it with you. So look down, the everyday stick, the mild one, the one you reach for without thinking. That's the particle king of this whole list. Mild was the marketing, the smoke is the receipt, and you've been signing it for everyone in the room. So those are the 7. Now the 3 that earn the shelf. And let me be straight about what earn means before I say a single nice word. Padron. Finally, after all that, a stick whose flavor was built, not poured in. Pull the cap and draw it cold, before you ever strike a match. There's no candy sweetness arriving from nowhere. No syrup steeped in from a flavoring vat, just leaf. Light it and you taste earth, cedar, a slow cocoa the tobacco made itself over years of fermentation and aging. That's the whole difference the cheap shelf never tells you. Real depth comes from patience, not chemistry. Padron is 100% tobacco, whole leaves running the full length of the cigar. Nothing pulp, nothing pressed, nothing sprayed on. Here's the honest part. Said plainly so made the old way never reads as good for you. No cigar is safe. Nasem is blunt. The toxic chemistry in premium cigar smoke is nearly identical to cigarette smoke, and a puro still burns. Worth it means cleaner, never safe. So the read is simple. This costs more than a gas station cigarillo and less than the marketing fantasies above it. Pure tobacco, honestly aged. The honest middle. Arturo Fuente. Smoke a real Fuente right after a flavored stick, and the shock is what's missing. No sugar, no perfume, nothing shouting over the tobacco. Just leaf that got round and rich the slow way. Fuente has rolled the same stubborn way for over a century. Whole leaves laid end to end by hand, long filler. The way a cigar was built before anyone learned to grind tobacco into paste and press it back into a sheet. Then the leaf sleeps in Spanish cedar for months. The wood and the tobacco trading notes until the smoke turns sweet on its own. Everything you taste, the cedar, the warmth, came from the leaf and the time, not from a bottle. Set it beside what you've just met. Handmade whole leaf against pressed sheet, cedar-aged depth against an infused boutique's borrowed flavor. One is a process you can name, the other is a paint job. Honesty costs. Fuente runs more than a drugstore cigarillo, and a century of method takes longer than any machine. But here's the trade. Plainly, you pay a few dollars over the cheap shelf, and you get a cigar with nothing sprayed into it. Not a safety promise, a cleaner one. It still burns, smoke is smoke. What you're buying is a standard kept Davidoff draw on a lit Davidoff, and the complexity almost doesn't add up for something with nothing added to it. Layers that shift as it burns. And not one of them is a flavor anyone poured on. That depth was grown in. The leaf goes through long fermentation, then the finished cigar rests in aged barrels until the wood and the tobacco have spoken to each other. The barrel did what the flavor bottle was faking. This is the whole answer to the infused boutiques. Java soaked it in coffee. CAO reached for the oils. They were chasing a richness they could have fermented and aged for instead. And they took the shortcut because it's cheaper and faster. Davidoff is the proof you never needed the bottle. Ultra premium, handmade, 100% tobacco, nothing added, and it carries more flavor than any infusion. Because real flavor was always a function of time, not a syrup. So I'll be straight with you. This is the most expensive stick on the list, and it's harder to find. Set the price against Java's. You're not paying a premium for a coffee note poured in at the factory. You're paying for the years and the barrel that made that note without anything added. And it's still tobacco smoke, cleaner, never safe. You're paying for honesty at the top of the ladder. So pull the camera all the way back. Forget the individual sticks for a second and look at what the word premium is actually supposed to mean. The EFTA and the courts drew a hard line around it. A premium cigar is whole leaf, rolled by hand, with nothing inside but tobacco, water, and a little plant gum to hold the cap. No additives, no flavor poured over it. That's the standard. Now go back through everything you just watched and notice how little of it cleared that bar. And before you reach for the puro like it's health food, hear this plainly. No cigar is safe. None of them. The people who study this, NASM, found the toxic chemistry in premium cigar smoke is nearly identical to what comes off a cigarette. So this was never a choice between safe and unsafe. It's tobacco smoke either way. The only thing on the table is cleaner versus loaded with extras. Read the charge sheet one more time. Backwoods printed natural on a stick built from pressed sheet. Java dressed an infusion up as boutique craft. CAO knew the clean recipe and reached for the oils anyway. Cheyenne caught a federal letter in 2016. pulled off shelves as a flavored cigarette in a cigar's coat. The counterfeit Cohiba hid floor sweepings, mold, and worse behind a fake band. And Black and Mild, the everyday king, wears the heaviest smoke on the board, while Mild sells a feeling that was never a promise. So here's the fork, and it's an honest one. You can keep buying the sheet, the infusion, the fake, the flavored stick, and quietly agree that additives, filler, and counterfeiting are just how cigars work now. Or you choose the leaf over the bottle, whole leaf, long filler, aged, nothing added, and you get pure tobacco and nothing smuggled in beside it. Cleaner, not clean. Cleaner, you walked in thinking a cigar was a cigar. You're walking out reading bans for whole leaf and long filler, treating natural, boutique, and mild as the marketing they always were. So the only question left is yours. Now that you can see the leaf, are you still going to smoke the costume?